Thanks to the support as a channel member, Andrew Mayo. Well, whatever you said to Juan Jose, it worked. He seems delighted to be here again. Yeah, I think 200 grand a week probably helped as well. But however much spaghetti you promised him, it did the trick. If you could do the same on VELOSO, that'd be lovely, because after a year of this, I've kind of decided I'm not going to be using him regularly until he sorts his head out now. Yeah. Well, Jovanovic has been all right. Hello, welcome to part 173 of Homegrown. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our first Champions League game of the year against FC Copenhagen, and we're away against Brighton in the Premier League. Since you were last with me, you can see we've had a very lovely start to the new Premier League season. 5 wins from 5. This is what the table looks like, with 3 points clear of Everton, 5 clear of Norwich, Manchester United, Man City and Liverpool. Home are just good at football these days. And the Premier League's top scorer, not VELOSO. It is Goran Jovanovic, our new main man. He's been leading the line all year. As I said to Mrs Wearmouth before things got up and running, Juan Jose decided he didn't want to leave after all, then signed a new contract on, I think, £195,000 a week. Sandro VELOSO, though, after more than a year of this, still wants to go to Nimes, and because of that, I'm just not using him. As you can see, he's barely started a game. He started against Manchester City in the last episode, but that's it. He started, scored, and got a man of the match. And then I've fallen out with him. I mean, when you look at it like that, he was unhappy all last year. When you look at it like that, no, I'm sticking to my guns. He needs to sort himself out. I want a happy Sandro VELOSO, not grumpy Sandro VELOSO. I'm looking at that and wondering if I'm really willing to die on this hill. We'll revisit this. He'll probably be back in the team by the next episode. But to be honest, Jovanovic has done nothing to deserve being dropped. 5 goals from 5 starts. He's been playing very, very well. So at the moment, he's the man in possession, and VELOSO has to force his way back into the side. So this is a team for the game against Copenhagen. I think there's probably an argument I could do more rotation than this for this game, but I'm thinking, let's be on the safe side. Let's get the points on the board in the Champions League, and then we can do that rotation for the Brighton game and the Millwall game afterwards, and probably the Stoke game, and come back against Lyon with a team that hasn't played together since today, really. We're not going... I mean, there are players that we're rotating out. You can see at the bottom there, Park, Ian and McKenna. None of them are fully fit, so there's no reason for them to even travel. They can have the night off. Figueira's still injured. Both Ian and Kleber have now made their Brazil debuts, by the way, both on the left wing. So Ian started one and came off the bench in the other. Kleber started the second of the 2 friendlies and then was substituted for Ian. Brazil seem to think that they're both left wingers. Who knew? The fact they're both playing for Brazil now suggests they're probably the 2 best Brazilian left wingers. And we've just got them both, which is why Kleber continues to play for us in midfield. But today, it's Madness who gets a go on that left-hand side once again. In what I guess is a slightly rotated midfield. We've got Perez in goal, a back four of Kovacic, Elias, Abagay and Vinicius Antonio. Much and Perez in midfield. Madness and Marcelo as the wingers. And then the new look, Juan Jose and Jovanovic front 3. The 3 J's. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're starting for us. And we just keep keeping an eye on keeping an eye on Jovanovic. And if he keeps scoring goals, then there's not really any reason to bring VELOSO back into the team. Maybe a little bit of time sat on the fringe of things thinking about what he's done will either sort his head out and make him recommit to us, or it might even put Nîmes off and mean that, because that was basically what happened with Juan Jose. As soon as, I think it was Norwich who were after him, as soon as Norwich dropped their interest, just like that, he was like, I don't want to leave anymore. Then Norwich are no longer interested. I guess I'll stay. Can I have a new contract, please? And it all happened very, very quickly. Madness has just scored. It's a lovely finish from Madness, a second of the season already for him, and it's a very well taken goal. I tell you what, we've got some very good wingers. Especially on this left-hand side, because the other Brazilian youngster, Jordan, who we brought in January, I think, he's pretty much of the same level star rating-wise as Madness is already. We've got 4 left wingers who could all probably comfortably start for pretty much any team in the Premier League, probably most Champions League teams. any of those four would be starting on that left-hand side. We have, I mean, we've said it before, and I'll no doubt say it many more times. This is the best team the best squad I've ever put together. It might not be the best first 11 just yet, because like we've said before, it would be nice to be able to go out and buy a couple of world superstars to plug a couple of the gaps. In an ideal world, we go out and get the best goalkeeper in the world and a real top-tier, deep-lying playmaker to free McKenna up properly. And then I think we probably have the best 11 I've ever had. It's definitely the best squad. The depth we've got in this squad, because we bring them in young and we are developing them. I mean, madness. He's getting better and better all the time, despite the fact he's never really a regular starter. Much is another one who's probably good enough to play 40 Premier League games this year. They only play 38. He's that good, he can play 2 extras. But he's good enough to be a regular starter in the Premier League now. It's just he's not as good as Kleber or McKenna or arguably Perez. Christensen's pretty much fit again now and probably ready to start forcing his way into the team. A lot of hope on Christensen this year. So we've just got all of the strength in depth. Oh, and I suppose I should let you know, we sold Erkan as well. Right at the end of the transfer window, I think we got £20 million for him. I didn't bring Pedro Guerrero back from his loan. I'll probably do that in January. For now, we're going slightly light with right-back options because Mark Kelly's already out on loan as well. But I figure if Vinicius Antonio picks up an injury, Abagai can move over there. We've got Simon Hanna. And we've also got Moritz Alpisch, who we brought in the summer. I recalled him from his loan because the game told me to. It said he was ready for first-team football. I'm like, well, if you insist. You can see Christensen, Daly, both there as well, ready to start forcing their way into this team. In fact, Adrian Daly is going to get an opportunity to play today. And in fact, so is Christensen. We're going to get both of those boys on. See, the problem is both of them want to be the deep-lying playmaker. Christensen is going to have to make do and be the box-to-box midfielder for today because Much is already in possession of that deep-lying playmaker role for today. And then for my final change, we might even have a look at Alpisch, give him his debut, or maybe Hannah. Has Hannah played yet this season? Not for us, in fact, so it might be better to bring Simon Hannah on, who's still higher up the pecking order for me than Alpisch is, but he's in and we'll certainly get game time this season. Now we've got Erkan out of the way. The backups we've got at defence are Hannah and Alpisch. Obviously, Primus can cover up fullback on either side as well, which was another part of the thought process. If we get an injury at right back, it doesn't necessarily have to be Abagai who can go out there. Primus can go out there too, because Kovacic has taken his spot away from the team again. So still lots of strength in depth back there. If Elias and Abagai both get injured, we'll probably panic a little bit because we'll be going with Hannah and Alpisch, which probably isn't a Champions League winning central defensive partnership. But then does Erkan make that? Is he better than either of them? Maybe not. I don't know. We already moved Fazekas on for similar reasons. I think part of the strength we've got in this squad is that we're not afraid to move players on as soon as they're old men at like 20. I think Erkan was 22 and is now, oh no, too old. We've moved Erkan on. We've conceded a late goal here. We were supposed to come here and win comfortably. I was talking about rotating a little bit more. This is not the start to our Champions League group that I had envisioned. We're going to go attacking for the last couple of minutes. We don't want to see the replay. I'm going to demand more. I'm going to be pretty cross with the boys if we come out of this having only picked up a draw, because we've got a pretty easy group this year, and I expect us to navigate through it pretty easily. And to be honest, I think we probably still will. We've got Ajax and Lyon as the other two teams. I think we're probably better than both of them, but all the same, we should have got 3 points there to start the group off. That just makes things awkward going into the next matches against Lyon and then Ajax. But I still think we'll be fine. Right, let's go and play Brighton. We are going to rotate a little bit for the Brighton game, I think. We're not going to go mad, but we'll just freshen things up again. I'm getting better at this rotation, Lark, and I'm eager to prove it to you. Here's a little interesting graph we've been working up this over the last few years, but it's never come up in the middle of an episode before, but it finally has. This is the top player development club in the world. So this is most footballers currently earning a living across the elite divisions in the world. So these are who's created the most players for clubs in the Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, or Ligue 1. Questionable if that's elite. But we are now the 6th best I mean, I don't know how we're only 6th on this list. You've still got Benfica, Inter Milan, Barcelona, Athletic Bilbao and Lazio producing more players than we are, even though we're trying to hoover up the best wonder kids in the world. But we're level with Real Madrid. We're ahead of Porto. Imagine having a better youth setup than Porto or Borussia Dortmund. It even says who the players are on there. So you can see that quite a lot of them are still at the club, but there's names like Ola Richards is on there. Fazekas is on there. Good old Stephen Reed. Derek McGowan is in a top league, apparently. He's a defender who, at one point, I was speculating might take over from Harrison Davies. And I don't think he ever played a game for us. Where's he ended up? Derek McGowan. There you go. He's playing in France. 3 caps for Ireland as well after coming through our youth team. The thing that I think the only reason we're not top of this is because some of the players don't make it onto the homegrown list because we loan them out. So these are basically the ones that have either come through our youth system or we've brought in and then not loaned out. So if it included the ones that were with us at 18 years old, we'd probably be doubling Benfica because there's quite a few of these that, I mean, like Vinicius Antonio, I don't think counts as homegrown because we loaned him out to Nice for a season when he first arrived. So he'll never make it onto that list. And there's quite a few examples of players just like that who won't ever make it onto the list. But it's pretty cool to see that this team that's only been in the Premier League for 10 years is already one of the best producers of players in world football. Okay, I'm not rotating quite as much as I promised off the back of that result that we just had. Need to make sure that we don't mess up 2 games in a row. So we're back to close to full strength. We're not going to play anybody who's not fully fit, but that pretty much means we could just avoiding playing Figueira. I have dropped Veloso out of the matchday squad entirely as we continue to try and sort his head out. I don't know if this is the right way to do it. He's been unhappy for 1.5 years now, and I need to fix it. Got to fix it. So Perez in goal, back four of Primus, Elias Abagai and Vinicius Antonio. McKenna and Kleber back together again in midfield. Ian and Park out wide, and then Juan Jose and Jovanovic up front. Poor old Brighton probably weren't expecting to face a team as strong as this one today, but hopefully we don't have the European hangover because was that 5 or 6 changes from the previous game? It's a significant bunch of changes, but especially with the Carabao Cup game coming up next as well, I didn't feel like we needed to do mass rotation. We'll probably we'll definitely do that for the Carabao Cup game. Alex Williams will play in that, for goodness sake. But yeah, I think we need to continue our winning start to the season in the Premier League today. And a strong team is the best way to do that. And Jovanovic with a header that comes back off the crossbar and I think it hits the goalkeeper, but somehow doesn't end up crossing the line. But that's what you get from Jovanovic, different to what you get from Veloso. They're very different kinds of advance forward. Veloso, of course, is all about getting beyond the last man, using his pace, using his composure, rounding the keeper, whereas Jovanovic is just a big lump who bludgeons it over the line. But he's pretty effective at doing it, and certainly playing in this more advanced role, scores goals too. We've seen him have some spectacular performances for us, most notably the 5 goals in the game he got last season in the Champions League. And he certainly started this season in good goal-scoring form as well. Here's Juan Jose, who's dropped deep, and now Primus. First start of the season for him. He did start the season with a knock, which let Kovacic straight back into the team, and then possession and all of that. Hasn't been able to win a spot back in again, but does come in today because he's too good not to play regularly. Kovacic, probably, after all that talk in the last game, is my first reserve at centre-back. If Elias or Abagai pick up an injury, Kovacic probably moves over there because that always ended well in the past. But there's Park with the header at the far post to put us 1-0 up. And, I mean, those crosses coming in for the left, that's a huge aerial threat we've now got in there. Jovanovic is 6'4". Park, I think, is 6'2", and always been very good in the air. If the crosses are coming the other way, you've got Kleber coming forward at 6'4" as well. We have certainly got a very significant aerial threat now with this attack. I like the look of this attack. Right, Kleber from deep, playing the ball over the top for Ian, who really is our only out-and-out pace merchant now in the front four. Kind of has to do a lot of what Veloso has done for us in the past and maybe even play a little bit more further forward than he has done in previous years. We might have to tweak things around a little bit if we're finding we're struggling for chances in some of the bigger games. Obviously, we've got Daly to come off the bench as well, who is just as quick as VELOSO. So Daly's going to get more and more games. So I certainly think I'd be less harshly treating VELOSO if Daly didn't exist. I mean, you saw last year, VELOSO barely missed a game, even though he was unhappy all year, because we didn't really have any other option. But this year, Jovanovic has blossomed and is definitely another option. And Daly is there as a very, very similar player to VELOSO. So even if we end up losing VELOSO because of my silly games, I'm not going to be that heartbroken because we've got an actual homegrown option who can come in and hopefully do the same job. Daly is going to come on now. And we're also going to bring Christensen on in midfield, which means we can push Kleber a little bit further forward and then get McKenna playing as the box-to-box midfielder as well. This is pretty close to a lot of people's actual first 11, I think. For us, obviously, you'd have VELOSO in ahead of Daly. But other than that, this 11 is probably what a significant section of the comments think we should be doing, playing Kleber on the left and maybe dropping Ian. But Daly is in there, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. The pace, the composure, the finishing. There's an argument that everything you get with VELOSO, you also get with Adrian Daly, and he's done excellently there to get into position. Juan Jose playing it back to Kleber, who just slots a perfect through ball in. Daly gets there ahead of his defender, and it's an easy finish on his weaker foot as well. And we'll just make that change. Marcelo can come on for Park on the right-hand side. Has that actually gone through? Does that button actually work? I don't think that change has happened. Well, that's handy. Oh, it's one of these where it's broken. Apparently it has happened, but I've got to learn not to click that button because it hasn't. Park's still on the pitch, but it won't let us make the final change now. But either way, we've picked up a comfortable win. Probably should have been more free scoring than we were, but a win is a win. That's 6 from 6 at the start of the season. We can do some heavy rotation against Millwall. Another relatively easy game against Stoke coming up means we should be fully fit and fully motivated and happy heading into really important home games against Lyon or Ajax. And ultimately, if we win both of those, we're through this group, I think. It's as simple as that. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.